Episode 100. I like it. So, welcome back, everybody. If you joined us earlier today when we did our 100th episode of What the Hell is Water. And as we mentioned this morning, one of the things we're doing is we're celebrating today. And we think doing 100 episodes is a big accomplishment. And so we wanted to have a little bit of fun and share a little bit of extra content with you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And make some delicious copycat Chick-Fil-A chicken nuggets because I've been craving them since Sunday.
Yes, you think of them on Sunday when you can't get them, but fortunately we had all the things we needed at home, just with our staples.
Yes, we had the chicken thighs to use up, and we just got lazy on Sunday, so perfect thing to make today.
Yes, perfect things to make today. So please, if you guys are here with us live, ask any questions you have, whether it be about the chicken nuggets, about us, about our company, anything like that. You can just drop that in the comments wherever you're at. Or you can also go to our Reddit post, which we'll share in the chat, and you can see some extra info we posted on there. You could post on there if you've got a Reddit account. Of course, you can make one for free on there if you like. But other than that, unless you say something else, I say let's get started with the chicken, huh?
Actually, we're gonna get started with the fries.
Oh, what are these fries you speak of?
Yes, so we just have some, we had some Yukon Gold potatoes that needed to get used up as well. And cut them into slices. Let's see. Ooh, perfect. Go with a hand cam. Just like, I like shoestring fries, so pretty thin, but I mean, you don't have to get them like super chop small. So, I like that. And then got some oil. It was heating up on the stove. I'm pretty sure it's still pretty hot. Well, let's see. Sometimes if you put your wooden utensil in it and you're waiting for bubbles to form from the bottom. So it's still heating back up a little bit, but there it's starting to go.
Yeah, and the reason it's not quite as hot as ideal is because we had it turned on preheating and left it for a little while too long, started smoking. So we decided to turn it down as we finalized the last few things of our tech gear preparing for the stream.
I think mostly good to go. Well, let's drop one in there and see. Yeah, that can go. Ooh. Snap, crackle, pop. And then right after you drop it in, you want to keep stirring it so that they don't clump together and stick together. They don't stick to the bottom. Probably for like a minute and a half. Keep them moving, and then they'll form like a very thin, light crust on the outside. Oh, and today, something I did that I hadn't done before was after I cut up the potatoes while they were sitting there, I salted them. Usually I don't salt them until after they fried. And you always want to salt immediately after frying and moving to the paper towel. But yeah, I think the salting before really helped this time. Just add some flavor. And you know, we did one of our batches before, but
So Danielle, why are you using Yukon Gold?
they're my favorite potato. I feel like they're the fluffiest, and I don't know. I think they're probably one of the sweeter potatoes, but I feel like they have just that traditional French fry potato taste. I don't know. Also, I feel like there was something that I read where they have a little extra sugar versus russet potatoes. So sometimes if you're like going for the caramelized exterior, like if you're roasting them in the oven with some oil or butter or something, that maybe they would get like a caramelized crust. But I don't know, could be talking out of my butt there.
All right, Danielle, well, while you work on those fries, can I prep some stuff over here for the chicken?
Sure. Yeah, you can crack the eggs into that container. And then we're going to add some half and half. Just a splash. And that will be the wet dredge for our chicken.
Cheers. Danielle got us some sake out, so have part of our celebration. So what kind of oil did you put in there to fry with, Danielle?
Oh, that's a great question. It's Crisco. The best thing to fry in ever. Per Grammy. And also this potato recipe is basically Grammy's. And then Grammy used to fry chicken as well, but this is not her fried chicken recipe.
Yeah, where did you get the recipe? Did you say that already?
No, I did not. So, we are a big fan of Joshua Weissman, and he has a YouTube series that he calls But Better. So he did Chick-Fil-A chicken nuggets, but better. And I read his recipe and then was like, you know, this really makes me want to do Chick-Fil-A chicken nuggets, but better, only even better, because they're with the ingredients that we actually have. And what is better to use than the shit you got? So, that's what we're doing.
So to make this fried chicken, as with a lot of fried chicken, we are creating some sort of batter.
Yes.
And sometimes you do just a dry batter, which is just flour and maybe some salt and other seasonings. But other times you use a wet batter, which we're doing today. So over here in this container, this front container, we have just flour.
Yep, just flour right now. But we gotta add some stuff to it.
Cool. And then I'm cracking some eggs and adding a splash of cream, you said, eh?
Half and half, I was thinking. Because it calls for whole milk, but we don't have whole milk. We have half and half, so it's whatever. It's creamy. It's milky. And then to the dry batter, we will add some salt. Just like a couple pinches. As Reed will say, I play it very fast and loose with the measurements. But cooking is an art, not a science. And then we have some Nashville hot chicken seasoning that I'm going to add some to the dry batter as well. Because it's got a number of ingredients that were included in the other recipe. So just kind of combining them. So salt, black pepper, red pepper, white pepper, brown sugar, smoked paprika, garlic, onion. So all of that is already combined in here. And then I'm going to add a little bit extra smoked paprika because I just really like paprika in fried chicken. And Joshua also adds some powdered sugar.
Really? Powdered sugar to the
Yep.
batter, huh?
Yep. So, and then the other recipe that I'm kind of like combining with from recipe30.com, that one had brown sugar in its recipe. And there's a little bit of brown sugar in here, but I figured like doing a heaping teaspoon or two of powdered sugar can't hurt. Should have made that hole bigger, whatever. And then can you whisk that together?
you already get out the half nut?
Hmm?
Did you already get out the half nut?
No, it's in there. Right there.
Oh, it's laying down.
And the fries are still getting golden. And then we'll add, are all 4 eggs in there? Yep. Cool. We'll just do a little splashy splash. Perfect. Okay. Now the chicken. So, this is probably about 3 pounds of chicken thighs, and we added a number of spices. We'll share later. I think it was just cayenne, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, kosher salt, and then paprika was what we added as the dry brine slash, I think Joshua calls it something different. We'll see. So that was what the chicken was marinating in, basically, but just dry seasonings. And then we're gonna go from the chicken into the flour, then into the egg, and then back into the flour, and then onto the parchment paper, ready to fry.
Nice. And so one of the big benefits of doing a brine beforehand, whether it's a dry brine or a wet brine, and a wet brine would be when the salt is dissolved in some liquid, whether it be water or something like that. And a dry brine is when it's just the salt and optionally some other spices as well. But by doing that in advance, you allow the salt to actually penetrate into the meat, which actually kind of tenderizes a little bit and gives it flavor. And salt is an amazing thing. So even if you're watching your sodium intake, salt is important because it does a lot of other jobs besides just provide that salty flavor. It makes everything taste better. So we have that. It's been in the fridge. Danielle took the chicken thighs and just kind of cut them into small pieces so they would be more like nuggets.
Like bite-sized nugget pieces.
And then by doing the batter, you said dry first, then wet.
Then back and dry.
And then dry. And one of the biggest pro tips with any time you're doing a multiple fry station like this is to have a wet hand and a dry hand. That way you don't get your wet hand all in the flour and things like that, then you end up with the claw or something like that.
Okay, I think our fries are about to be ready, so maybe we take these out before we start our dredging station. They're looking golden brown.
Yeah, so how do you know when the fries are done, Danielle?
So they'll float. They will, like I said, they'll get that kind of like crust on them where they stay separate from each other. You don't have to like constantly be stirring them apart. They can just kind of be floating and chilling. So, and then I do keep stirring them a few times throughout the process. And then, yeah, once they kind of, some of them are a little bit more done than others. There's some natural variation that happens, but overall, once it kind of has that golden brown cast to it, it'll continue to well, actually I don't know that. It'll continue to cook after you put it on the paper towel just a little bit. So you want to take it out ideally before it's like too far gone, that like more done than you want.
Yeah, because you can throw it back in if needed, but if you're wanting to keep it from being burnt or whatnot, then it's probably better safe than sorry.
And salt it immediately.
That's a huge tip. Anytime you're frying something, make sure you salt it right after it comes out of the oil. That way you can the salt will stick to the fry. Otherwise, if you wait too long, it'll just kind of fall off, and it won't get that salty deliciousness that you want. All right, so Danielle's taking out that batch of fries. Do you want me to start dredging some of this chicken?
Go for it.
Can we move that one to look over here? So I'm just gonna take a couple of these pieces and plop them down into the flour. And I'm using my tongs now, but let's be real, I'm gonna have to get my hands dirty. So I'll use my left hand for the dry. And anytime you're frying something, I like to really try to press the flour into the chicken. That way it sticks nicely. So when it comes to Chick-Fil-A, in my mind, one of the most important things is the sauce. I personally really like to dip it in that Chick-Fil-A sauce. I also like to dip it in ketchup. And another one that some people may think is weird, but I also like to dip it in mayonnaise. What do you like to eat your chicken nuggets with?
Chick-fil-A sauce for sure. I don't know that I've ever seen you dip yours in straight mayonnaise. That's news to me.
It's not an every time thing, but every now and then I like to do it.
I like honey mustard for fried chicken a lot, and like hot mustard at McDonald's is what I get with the McDonald's chicken nuggets. But a lot of times I eat both McDonald's and Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets just plain. I enjoy them no sauce.
For me, the sauce is boss. I also just like that variety and heterogeneity within my meals. So I like to have, one with the sauce, one without, one with the fry, one with a sip of that delicious sweet tea, varying it up. All right, so went into the dry. Now we went into the egg, and now we're going back into the dry one more time. Then after that,
onto the parchment paper, and then ready to fry.
So I'll just kind of toss some dry over, get it pressed in one more time. Shake off the excess. How long do these guys take to fry?
Just about 3 to 5 minutes.
Yes. One of our viewers on Instagram says that QP mayonnaise is the way to go, which is a Japanese mayonnaise. If you can't find it at your grocery store, you can find it on Amazon or some places like that. And I believe it's just
tangier?
Yeah, a little more tangy. I think it might have a little more vinegar in it.
Or like citrus, maybe? Or no, probably not lime juice or
yeah. My gut says
lemon.
Vinegar.
I think lemon is what's in regular mayonnaise, or like if you make homemade mayonnaise, it's lemon juice.
But QP mayonnaise is very popular, especially on a lot of the food YouTubers like to use it. Has that nice extra flavor, give it an extra funk. Okay,
so do you want to keep going with that, and I'll take over the fryer, or do you want to?
That sounds good to me. Whatever you want to do.
All good.
Cool. Well, why don't you follow her over to the fryer so we can see what some of those look like, and I'll keep doing this here, and we'll go from there.
I'll help you by dropping these.
We're gonna fry all of them?
Huh?
We're gonna fry all of them?
Yeah.
So then I'll just use my hand. That's cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
And then we're gonna lower. Let's see. Take note of what time it is. It is turning 2:38 up there. You could probably do a few more pieces at a time.
Okay. So it doesn't look like you're using a thermometer, but do you have any idea roughly what temperature these should cook on?
Three
You can say no if you don't know.
325 to 375,
Okay.
somewhere in there.
So when it comes to cooking techniques, Danielle, as she mentioned earlier, is a lot more loosey-goosey, and she's more of an intuitive cooker, and she likes to not measure things and kind of live more free. Whereas me being the electrical engineer and science and nerd guy, I pretty much am always using some sort of measurement and temperatures and things like that. But the bottom line is, if you're getting the crispy chickies, then you're gonna be good. I gotta say, the sound of fry oil is also just a satisfying, crinkly sound to hear in the background, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're cutting up the chicken nuggets, it's up to you how big you make them. One thing to keep in mind is that if you cut them to be different sizes, then they are going to cook at different intervals. So if you have one piece that's much bigger than another piece, then that piece will take longer to cook, which is perfectly fine, just something for you to be aware of. Another thing to keep in mind with size is, what is your optimal breading to meat ratio? Maybe you're someone who likes a lot of breading and not as much meat, and in that case, you could have smaller pieces. Or maybe you're not so much on the breading, or you're trying to do maybe a slightly lighter / healthier version of fried chicken, which, I mean, come on. A lighter, healthier version of fried chicken, still fried chicken.
Yeah, but what I was going to say when you were talking about the most important thing about size is that it doesn't matter.
What's that phrase? It's the motion of the chicken nuggets?
Yeah, it's the bubbling of the fry oil. The Crisco!
Alright, well, you got a pile of other nuggets ready to go in.
Perfect. Let's see, 241. 3 minutes. Potentially 2 more minutes.
So, some people might be wondering why chicken thighs instead of chicken breast.
Because they're better in every way.
I forget, Danielle, were you always a dark meat person? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even from the time I was little, I remember going to McDonald's when they used to have 2 different kinds of nuggets. There was very clearly the juicy, moist, tender, dark meat. And then there was the dry, white meat. And so I would only eat like half of my chicken nuggets whenever I went to McDonald's for years and years and years. And I was like, I remember this, but I can't find anyone else who was like a McDonald's fanatic around the same time I was growing up who can corroborate my story. I haven't Googled it though. Maybe Reddit can help.
Or maybe you're just remembering fondly on something that's completely wrong. You never know.
But yeah, Thanksgiving, turkey, always a dark meat, girl.
But for those of you who are not dark meat girls, One of the benefits, or some of the benefits of using chicken thighs, is that you can cook it to a much higher temperature before it is overcooked. One of the problems with white meat, which is going to be your breast, I'm blanking off the top of my head. Is there anything else besides breast that's white meat on chicken?
Wing.
Breast and a wing is white meat, and so that's going to dry out a little easier, especially the breast. And so by doing chicken thighs, which is a darker meat, and it allows it to stay nice and moist longer, and is more forgiving, especially with something like frying, where temperature and time, cook time, they can be controlled, but maybe not quite as closely as some of the other cooking methods.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the nice things about it. And the reality is I bet if you give this to someone who isn't paying that close of attention, they'll probably be like, oh, this is just tasty chicken nuggets. They wouldn't necessarily even know it's dark meat or not.
That's true. And actually, I think the recipe I'm following may have called for breast meat, but I use thighs, always. I haven't bought chicken breast since '99. No, I'm not really serious. I don't know the last time I bought chicken breast.
But it may not have been since '99, but it's certainly been a while. We pretty much exclusively buy dark meat these days. That being said, you certainly can make great chicken with great white meat chicken,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just a little easier and more forgiving to use dark meat, which, especially as home cooks, is something worth noting. And also, I think it may be cheaper too. Do you think that's enough?
Add those two. Well, let's see. And then we're gonna have to taste these ones that are done.
Welcome to Danielle's life, where she sings everything that she does.
Especially when there's chicken nuggets on the line.
Do we have any Instagram comments? That one camera is somewhere I can't see, so it's harder for me to know. Now, one thing that's frying food lends itself well to, especially something like this where you have stations, is I encourage you to do this with some other people. Maybe this is something you go do with your friends. Maybe if you have kids, this is something you could have a kid help you with. But as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. You take the pieces, you toss them in the flour, you toss them in the eggs, you put them back in the flour. It's not a complicated process, but it's nice to have an extra set of hands, especially so you can have one person who's manning the hot oil and paying attention to stuff, make sure it doesn't burn, especially if you're doing a lot of batches. But also, I don't know, this type of cooking I feel like is one that's easy to have people participate in and have a good time. So I think it makes for a great, especially weeknight or weekend event. It's like, hey, if you tell your friend, hey, do you want to come over and make homemade chicken nuggets or homemade Chick-Fil-A nuggets, like, maybe your friends are different than mine, but most of my friends are going to be like, heck yes. Just make sure you have the sauce. And we'll show you guys in a second how to make a Chick-fil-A sauce replica. And the other ones, Polynesian sauce, barbecue sauce, all those types of ones. One, you can buy similar sauces, but two, you can also find replica recipes online. And there's always the staple, just ketchup. How'd that first batch of chicken nuggets look, Danielle?
Really good. I think we're gonna have to try some pretty soon. I feel like it should probably cool off a little bit, but
Did you also salt those right after you took them out?
no, I didn't, because there should be enough salt in the breading, but we'll see.
All right. That's another nice thing about frying. It's great for learning to cook things because you get to do it in batches. And so if your first batch doesn't turn out that great, you can always tweak it. And maybe that's adding a different seasoning. Maybe that's cooking it a little longer or less long. All those different things are possible. But that's the nice thing about cooking in batches. What you think?
I think we need more seasoning in the dry dredge.
Yeah, I would say that's a common thing because the thing about the dredge is there's so much flour in here that the spices get kind of diluted in there. So we will spice these up. How do you think the salt level was?
More salt too.
Okay. Would you want to just toss it right on?
No, I think take those out and then we'll add more flour and add more seasonings. I mean, it's still tasty. So yeah, I will salt these ones coming out now that I know.
I honestly don't remember if I did these once or twice.
Hey, audience! Can you tell Reed if he dredged those once or twice?
I think I need to try one of these chicken nuggets just to make sure.
Yeah, definitely.
In other words, bring me a chicken nugget.
Oh, okay.
My hands are covered.
Ooh, so spicy! Oh, that's spicy! Blowing it.
That was a tiny piece.
Ooh, something happening over here.
Something's happening, huh?
It's already getting bubbly. This batch might be about done. Yeah. So that's, I mean, this is basically it for the fried chicken. Then should we show the sauce in between the next batch?
Sure.
Also, so you can start having the sauce for our batches.
Yeah, maybe I'll just go ahead and get the sauce ready.
Cool, do that.
So, when it comes to sauces, I like to use these little ramekin containers, and I don't remember exactly how much they cost, but they're pretty cheap. They bought like, I don't know, 20 of them or something at one point in a big package. So these are just little clear glass ramekins, and I'll have one for ketchup and one for our Chick-Fil-A sauce, and then one for barbecue sauce. Any other sauces you'd like? You want a honey mustard or?
Nope, I'll just do Chick-Fil-A sauce.
Honey, do you know where the honey is?
Let's see.
So we got us just some Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce over here. Which we are almost out of.
Honey.
Now, here's the fun thing about the Chick-fil-A sauce. It's essentially honey mustard and barbecue sauce. So if you're like us and you have, your standard condiments at home, mustard, mayonnaise, ketchup, barbecue sauce, honey, you can make the sauce basically at home, no problem. So all you gotta do is just kind of put a little bit of barbecue sauce, a little bit of mustard, a little bit of honey, mix it together, taste it, and tweak to how you see fit.
Are you sure that it's honey mustard
Yeah.
in the Chick-Fil-A sauce? I don't know that I've tasted the honey.
Well, you've been missing the taste. And of course, we got us a nice crystallized honey beer here, which you can fix by heating up. So I'll run it under some hot water. So as that honey heats up a little bit to get rid of some of that crystallization so it gets to squeezability, I'm going to answer one of our questions from Reddit. We're running an AMA. So again, if you're here live, whether it be on Instagram or any of our other platforms, you can comment where you're at, or you can go to the Reddit post and post on there. So user handsfree53 asks, thanks for doing the AMA. You seem like a really good dude with some really good people around you. When did you decide to make the big switch from electrical engineering to entrepreneurship? Had you worked for a company for a while and realized it wasn't what you wanted? And what's your favorite Rocket League car? His is the Tirano. Well, first off, I'll start off with the Rocket League car because I actually don't know that I know what the Tirano is. Do you know what that one is? Yeah. So I'll have to look that one up and try it out. I'm not a big trader or customizer with my cars, so I'll admit I'm not the best one to ask these types of questions. I pretty much used the Octane for a while. Okay, yeah, that one's cool. It's kind of a sports car looking thing. But then I switched from the Octane. I got a Fennec. That was the first car that I actually bought on that game. For reference to those who know, Rocket League is a video game available on pretty much every platform, and you can play cross-platform. And we're probably going to be doing some helpful for Rocket League content later tonight, possibly. If not tonight, at least in the future, where we both teach you guys how to play a little bit of Rocket League, and also maybe just do some fun, entertaining live casting of the sport as an e-sport, for those of you who haven't heard that term before. But so yeah, so the Finnick is what I have now. I have a white one and a black one, I think. Now the other question, asking about when I made the big switch from, when did I decide to make the big switch? So yeah, so I made the decision to make the big switch back in 2017. So coming up on this summer will be 5 years. It's something that I had thought about for a while. Originally, my quote-unquote life plan was to go to college and get a good degree and then go to a big company to take advantage of all the resources that a large company has, which includes extra mentoring, higher education, additional networking, both within the location I was at and with other companies, and also other locations within the same company. So the company I worked for after school was Boeing. You may know them for building the big airplanes, but I actually worked on satellites. In case you're not aware, satellites fly around in space and they beam down internet, GPS, and a ton of other things that help the world go round. You may have heard of Starlink, which is a SpaceX satellite constellation that's been in the news recently. So it's an exciting time to be in space. So when I was with Boeing, I did all those things I was talking about, got a lot of education, learned a lot of great people there, but I still had that itch to have a little bit more impact and do something where I had a little bit more control and a little bit more say over exactly what happened. At Boeing, there were plenty of times where it's like, hey, it would be great if we did ABC, but whenever it came time for money and time and effort to put behind those things, the company, being a company, naturally says no to a lot of things. So that, combined with just the desire to create something like Helpful for Life, was something that I saw as a need, both in my immediate friend group and in my family, as well as in the larger internet and world. So that's what kind of led me to taking the jump back in 2017. All right, so Danielle just coming up with another batch. Let's see how the honey mustard, or how this honey softened up for us. Get us over on that one, would you? Oh, thank you. Oh, still not the best, but at least we're getting some stuff out. Maybe a little more hot water. Stretching. Oh, funny.
Yeah, it's never happened before.
A lot of batter in there, probably.
Yeah.
Do we have some additional ones to taste?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So we can, yeah, if the sauces are ready, then this can be the last batch or stream or whatever.
Which one should I grab?
These are the most freshest done. Hottest.
All right, time for another taste. This time I'll use some ketchup.
Chick-Fil-A sauce ready? Not yet.
No, the honey was crystallized. So-
I'll try some ketchup too.
It's definitely juicy. Definitely all a good crisp to it. To be honest,
It's not really giving me Chick-Fil-A.
not really giving me Chick-Fil-A either. I think, honestly, I think part of it is I think they use a lot more sugar.
Probably.
I think Chick-Fil-A has kind of the sweeter thing to it. So if you're gonna recreate this at home, here, as we mentioned, a lot of times we do things kind of loosey-goosey, especially with something like this where it's like, hey, we had some chicken we needed to use up. What's something fun we could do with it? So if you're gonna want to recreate these at home, I would probably measure the exact flour and spice and sugar ratios if you're wanting to try and get something very close to that Chick-Fil-A nugget. But for us, when you're dealing with just, having some fried chicken for lunch on a Tuesday, we're pretty happy with it. So also want to say hi to Paul over in the YouTube chat. Yes, Chick-Fil-A nuggets are nice, very much indeed. There we go. Finally getting some of that honey out. And get some of this mustard. And I like to just basically start with equal parts, and I just kind of squirt them off to the side like this so you can kind of see like, hey, that looks roughly the same. And take a little tiny whisk, reference to Babish, one of the food YouTubers. Always has a tiny whisk handy. And so you can see if you just look at the color of it, it looks pretty much like a Chick-fil-A sauce. It's kind of got that yellowish, brownish kind of color to it. And again, this one's going to vary a lot based on what barbecue sauce you use. And so again, I just kind of start with something, taste it, and kind of adjust from there. So I think that one tastes a little bit too mustardy. So I'm going to add in some more barbecue sauce. But yeah, so Sweet Baby Ray's, for example, is one of the sweeter types of barbecue sauces. And if you're using one that's like, say like a Carolina style barbecue sauce, it's like really vinegary, that probably wouldn't give you exactly what you're looking for, but you could maybe compensate by adding a little bit more honey. Care to try?
Sure.
You know what? Close enough. When we did the RV, we lived in the RV for a year. That's what we ended up naming our RV. Good enough. The ones that are closer to us?
Freshest done are the ones closest. Yep.
Paired with
Good
the
enough.
Yukon Gold potato fry.
Well,
Oh
time
yeah,
to eat.
cameraman needs one.
So Paul wants to know, have you been enjoying live streaming? Favorite part, most stressful? And he knows it's not related to food, but it's good questions.
Oh,
Paul,
yeah.
thank you very much for the question over on YouTube, asking if we've been enjoying live streaming and what's been the most stressful part. Favorite and stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with stressful because that one's easy to pop into mind. Stressful is just getting all the pieces working together. And I know...
At the same time.
At the same time.
Simultaneously. Which means the same thing. But you gotta double check that shit.
What she said. But that's the thing is, and sometimes we, admittedly, being an electrical engineer and being so rooted in technology, we know all of the fancy ways to do things. And so sometimes we overcomplicate things, but also sometimes things just don't work. Which is weird because you set them up the same exact way, they're plugged in the same exact way, but then they perform not how you'd expect. So that's probably the most frustrating thing is when times when something is acting differently, even though you did everything the same. And you know what the solution a lot of times is? Doing a computer restart. As silly as it sounds, that's still the answer a lot of times. So that's probably the most stressful part. Other than that, just after going live, running through in my head all of the things that I thought didn't go so well and hyper analyzing all of them. But that's also one of the main reasons we went live, was because once it's out there, it's out there. And so we started to do this whole live journey with What the Hell is Water 100 episodes ago. And so that was one of the points, was, hey, stop editing yourself before you publish something. And you're not creating this produced content. So we decided to start going live every weekday morning. And here we are 100 episodes later. So overall, it's been a great thing. And the favorite thing about it, the favorite thing about live streaming, I think it's been just, I think it's been that freedom and also kind of confidence building and knowing like, hey, if we can do this and we're okay and we're comfortable. And admittedly, like, we've had plenty of ups and downs along the way, but if we're comfortable, like, talking and being ourselves and saying whatever we're gonna do and making mistakes, and yeah, we made some Chick-Fil-A nuggets that don't taste exactly like Chick-Fil-A, but we're providing value along the way, and we're hopefully helping some of you guys be encouraged to try stuff yourself. And that's one of the biggest things with What the Hell is Water and with Helpful for Life as a whole is, we want to show you guys that it's worth trying things. Even if you fail, even if you fall short, there's still a lot of value you get out of it. And guess what? Next time, if we want to make Chick-Fil-A nuggets, maybe we'll...
Add some more powdered sugar.
Yeah, maybe we'll add a little more
Brown sugar. Who knows?
Maybe we'll follow, that's the thing about recipes. And as Danielle said, it's not a science, but it is a science. And so, like, if you want to get something that's really close to what you'd find somewhere, then I would encourage you to find someone who's done the recipe development. Because people spend a lot of times, they do a batch, they taste, they tweak, they taste, they tweak, and it's all about those ratios. And so for Danielle, she doesn't like to cook that way. So she would rather just kind of get close enough and not have to worry about it, because she finds cooking kind of relaxing and meditative and is kind of just like, and that's just kind of how she also likes to live life, right? Not having to worry about all of the small things. So yeah, those are kind of our favorite and not so favorite, some of the stressful things. And thank you very much for the congratulations. I appreciate that.
100! We should get, like, glasses. Like, make our own glasses. 0, 0, 1. With Pinky. I don't know. I want, like, Santa glasses. Like, when we did the Santa bar crawl and we had the ho, ho, ho glasses. We need 100 glasses.
Nice.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, we should get some of those. But yeah, any other, you check to see if there's any dangling ones on there? Anything else that you want to make sure to talk about?
No.
Well, without further ado, we're very hungry because we actually started this post a couple hours
11
ago.
a.m.
Yeah, and we had multiple issues getting the Reddit thing worked out, and so here we are. That's another big lesson of the live streaming for us is, you know what? Just make it happen. Just get through it and push through, and then you'll be good to go. So here we are. We did it. We're on to the other side. And, look out, check out our Reddit post if you haven't already. We're going to be updating that with other questions and answers, and possibly a couple other times we may go live later today. But until then, let us go eat some of our chicken nuggets, and y'all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.